Okay, today on Gear Review, we're going to take a look at my newest acquisition. We went down to DJL Custom Audio, or Vintage Audio, excuse me. Also MegaTone amps, the same place. And pretty much perused everything that they had, which was, you know, if you ever get a chance to go down there, there's a lot of great toys and stuff to peruse through, amp-wise. The total purpose of going down there was, you know, during the recording process, we got to doing some recordings of different styles. I wanted an amp that was a little less compressed. The V3 does a lot. I mean, it's a very versatile amp, but there does tend to be a level of compression that goes on inside of it, you know, when it's distorting, and even somewhat on the clean channel, you can hear a little bit of compression going on. So I wanted something for certain parts that wasn't quite as compressed, and I actually went down there to look at Dale, owner DJL MegaTone amps. Dale has an awesome JTM 45 clone that is great, and I originally went down there to try that one and possibly buy that amp. But of course, as with anything, you go down there to, you know, go to a store to buy something, you should try everything just to make sure, you know, you're getting, you know, exactly what you want. Anyway, while I was there, I ran across this amp, and what this is the MegaTone Mega 30 prototype. And when I plugged into it, I immediately started to kind of fall in love with this amp. The JTM 45 was great, and they're two totally different monsters. What they do are completely different from one another. But I'll give you some of the points of the amp first off. It's all point-to-point construction. It started off as a vintage Univox amp. That's what this box and the chassis is, vintage Univox. But what he's done is he has actually gutted the inside and created something completely different. So it has point-to-point wiring on the inside. It uses 6L6, two 6L6s, pushing out 30 watts RMS. It uses one 12A-U7, two 12AX7s. And I think the kicker for this, what really makes this amp sound sweet, is I think that in the V1 position you have an EF806. And from what Dell told me, that was the amp that they used to use in the old Vox AC15s. And I think that's what helps give this amp its special voicing. It has a beautiful built-in tremolo circuit, which can be activated from the front using a push-pull pot on the depth control. And it's also foot switchable. There's a jack in the back. You can hook up any single button foot switch, and you can control the tremolo on and off using that. It has a preset presence control, but you can adjust the presence. There's a little potentiometer screw inside here, and you can adjust that to fine-tune the presence. It has an 8 and 16 ohm speaker jack in the back, and it has a socket for an optional tube rectifier, and I'm running it with the solid state rectifier presently. That is all of the specs on this. Now, when I bought this, I also went ahead and bought the matching cabinet. You know, a lot of you have heard me talk about the Fender cabinet that I had, and that it was definitely an improvement from the crate. Excuse me, we'll scratch that. It was definitely an improvement from the Carvin V3 cab that I had, but that I wasn't completely satisfied with that. And my plans had been all along to re-speaker the cabinet. Well, for the price of what I was going to re-speaker that cabinet, I was able to just go ahead and buy this one. The perks that I like about this cabinet, the size is great. The size and weight of the cabinet is almost perfect for a person like me that doesn't like lifting a lot of weight. The cabinet I loaded with, which is a story in and of itself about how awesome it is with dealing with a boutique company like Dale's, was when I originally bought this setup, I had loaded this cabinet with a Celestion, it's a 212 cabinet by the way. I loaded it with one Celestion G12 T100 and one Eminence Cannabis Rex. I got it home and it didn't sound as big and full as I wanted, as it had sounded through the other speaker cabinet in the store. I thought it was the head. I was like, well, it just sounds different in this room than it sounded in his room, and I was willing to deal with that. But when I plugged the V3 in, I noticed that the V3 now didn't have any low end, so I knew that it had to do with my speaker choice. I called Dale immediately the very next day. He allowed me to come back. I auditioned speakers again. When I put those speakers in, I auditioned speakers probably for about 30 minutes. When I went back the next day to switch them for something else, I auditioned speakers for about 2 hours. And what I settled on was an Eminence Governor and an Eminence Wizard. And the combination of those two speakers is awesome. I will never have to shop for speakers again. That is the combination I want. Each speaker has a little bit of something that the other speaker doesn't have, so together they have a very complex sound. Singularly, both these speakers sound really well, or sound very good, but their sound is more narrow. When combining two different speakers of two different voicings, the sound becomes just a little bit more spread and just a little bit more complex. You know, there's just a lot more frequencies going on. It sounds really good. Now, the thing that really sold me on this amp is it's clean. It was very clean. It was very dynamic. It was very uncompressed, and it had a very pretty quality to the clean. Because I'm recording, I'm not going to mess with what I would normally do is start flipping a bunch of knobs for you, but what I am going to do, I'm going to just give you a quick little, hey, here I am thing. I'm going to show you a little bit of the clean, show you a little bit of the tremolo circuit, show you a little bit with a distortion pedal kicking the front end. Now this is the clean channel. That's just straight amp. There's no pedals going on. And that's with this is with a guitar with, you know, two humbuckers, and that's a very good. Not only is it very good, it's very awesome sounding. Now, if you want to add a little bit of reverb, a little bit of chorus to it, it gets really luscious. So it's very lush, but let's turn that chorus off. I'm going to leave the delay on. Now we're going to activate that lush tremolo I was telling you about. And he made a point to say that I put the paper down, there it is, that the tremolo inside this is called an intense bias wiggling tremolo. I don't really know what that means, but I'm imagining that means pretty good sounding tremolo. Now, that was just clean, and then if I wanted to get a little dirt to it, I just add, right now I'm just adding like a power stack, a Boss power stack, just stock Boss pedal, nothing really special. We're not talking any $2.5, $300 pedal. We're talking like something like about $70, $80 right off the shelf. Now that's also through the low input, which I use the low sometimes because the low subdues the highs a little bit without turning the treble. And if I go into the high, it gets a little bit louder. It also gets a little bit more dynamic as far as the amount of bass and the amount of treble. Now, I turn that off and turn a different type of distortion pedal on, and you get spray. It is very, very receptive to pedals. You put a different pedal in it, it sounds different. A lot of people wonder what I mean when I say something is receptive to pedals. I've had some amps that are not very pedal friendly that you either plug pedals in and they just sound like crap, especially distortion pedals, or you plug two totally different distortion pedals in there and they sound almost identical. That's not a very responsive front end, and that sometimes I think it can have something to do with how much compression is active inside the amps. Now I want to also show you that it has a master volume. I'm going to turn that down now. I'm going to crank the gain. I'm going to crank this a little bit. I'm going to let you hear the built-in gain inside. And then the gain inside the amp, to me it has a somewhat of a box-ish type gain. And I do that same sound and go back into low and do the same thing. And now my favorite sound is when you turn that on, bring out the tremolo, and you can get a little bit of your heavy metal Hendrix vibe going. So anyway, in a nutshell, that is the MegaTone Mega 30. It's a killer amp. I'm hoping he doesn't do a one-off of these. I think he should actually, actually make this. The only thing I would change about it is instead of just having like a treble and bass control, I would probably add a mid control. I'm a sucker for a mid control. And that's pretty much probably the only thing I would change about it, other than maybe an effects loop, but that's pretty much it. And the speaker cabinet doesn't really have a name. It's just a MegaTone custom speaker cabinet. Birch construction, finger joints, Eminence Governor, and an Eminence Wizard. 12-inch speakers in there. It's cabinet's at 16 ohms. It also has beam blockers pre-installed in it, so if you're sitting directly in front of this cabinet, high-end frequency is not going to kill you because it has a beam blocker in front of the dust cap, so that instead of all the high frequencies coming straight out, which tends to be very harsh on speaker cabinets, why when you sit directly in front of a speaker cabinet show why it's so painful. Instead of doing that, the beam blocker takes that straight narrow beam of intense highs and disperses them evenly, so you get more of a mixed sound and very you get that. Basically what you do is you kind of get that side fill sound when you're directly in front of on the speaker cabinet. So that's cool. It is a killer sounding cabinet. I have to say that this cabinet sounds as big as my 412 at half the size and half the weight. And for a lazy bum like me, that's one type of things that will keep me from going to an audition or a jam, is I'll start looking at how much weight I've got to carry and be like, maybe not so much. So anyway, this is Gillen H2O. This has been Gillen Review, and this has been the MegaTone Mega 30.